"You're not man enough to be a dad," my wife said after I found out she'd been lying about our fertility issues. So I quietly ran the tests, found the truth, and turned her little double life into a court exhibit. All right, Reddit. Figured it was time to share this nightmare from my life because apparently I need strangers on the internet to validate that I'm not insane. This whole thing went down over the course of 2 years and ended about 3 months ago. Still processing it, honestly. And my best friend keeps telling me this needs to be documented somewhere because apparently it's one of the most calculated situations he's ever heard of. So here we are. I'm 32, work as an aerospace engineer at a defense contractor here in Arizona. Been with the same company for 7 years. Moved up from junior engineer to senior project lead. Good salary, own my house outright after refinancing at the perfect time. Drive a paid-off 2019 F-150 that I actually maintain properly with scheduled oil changes and everything. Nothing flashy, just solid and dependable. I'm the guy who shows up on time, pays his bills early, keeps his truck clean, and actually reads instruction manuals before assembling furniture. Revolutionary concept, I know. My life is structured, always has been. I meal prep on Sundays, hit the gym 4 days a week, keep a budget spreadsheet that would make accountants weep with joy. Some people called it boring when I was younger. I call it having my life together. At 32, I've got a house, retirement accounts that are actually funded, and zero debt except the mortgage, which I'm paying extra on every month. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable, and I worked hard to get here. Met my now ex-wife Olivia back in 2019 at a charity run for veterans. She was volunteering at the water station around mile marker 4, and I was running my usual 10-kilometer route. She handed me a cup and made some joke about me looking like I needed it more than the other runners. I was drenched in sweat because it was June in Arizona, and I stupidly wore a dark shirt. We started talking while I caught my breath, and she mentioned she'd wanted to do the run, but hadn't trained enough. I offered to help her train for the next one. We exchanged numbers that day, started texting. She seemed cool, funny, had this way of making regular conversation interesting. Our first actual date was at this Italian place downtown. She showed up in a sundress and I'd worn actual slacks instead of jeans, so we both got points for effort. We talked for 3 hours. She laughed at my engineering jokes, which nobody ever does. I made her laugh so hard she snorted, which she got embarrassed about, but I thought it was cute. Olivia worked as a dental hygienist at a practice downtown, made decent money, had her own apartment, drove a reliable Honda Civic, seemed to have her life together. No crazy debt, no drama with exes, good relationship with her family. On paper, she was exactly what I'd been looking for after a string of relationships that went nowhere. We dated for about a year before I proposed. Took her to this overlook outside Sedona that we'd hiked to on one of our early dates. Had the ring custom made because she'd mentioned once that she thought solitaire diamonds were boring and wanted something with colored stones. Got her an emerald surrounded by small diamonds in a platinum setting. Cost me 3 months' salary, but her face when she saw it made it worth every penny. The wedding was in fall 2020. Small ceremony because of everything going on that year. Just family and close friends at her parents' ranch outside Tucson. Her dad owns about 40 acres of property with this old barn they'd renovated into an event space. We did the whole thing outdoors, about 50 people total. I wore the suit I'd bought specifically for the occasion, navy blue with a light blue tie. She wore her grandmother's wedding dress that had been altered to fit her. The photos turned out great. Her parents loved me from day one. Her dad, Frank, is this retired firefighter who got me into woodworking. We'd spend Saturday mornings in his shop building furniture and talking about everything from sports to politics. Her mom, Janet, treated me like the son she never had, always sending me home with leftovers and asking my opinion on recipes she was trying out. I genuinely liked them. Thought I'd gotten lucky marrying into a good family. The honeymoon was 2 weeks in Costa Rica. We stayed at this eco lodge in the rainforest and spent our days hiking and ziplining and pretending we were adventurous people. She took about 1,000 photos. I got a wicked sunburn on day 3 because I'm pale and forgot to reapply sunscreen. We laughed about it then. Different times. First year of marriage was pretty standard. We bought a house together in Gilbert. 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a garage I could actually fit my truck in. The backyard had mature trees and a covered patio. We spent weekends painting rooms and picking out furniture. She wanted the extra bedrooms for when we had kids. That was always the plan, at least according to her. She'd talk about converting one into a nursery, point out houses with playground equipment, mention how our street was perfect for raising children. I was all in on the idea. Around spring 2021, she started bringing up kids more seriously. Not pushy at first, just casual mentions about timelines. She'd point out cute kids at restaurants, send me articles about optimal age for first-time parents. I was all for it. Figured we were financially stable. The house had the space. I'd always wanted to be a dad. We started trying that summer. Stopped using protection and let nature do its thing. Olivia tracked everything on apps though. Knew her cycles down to the hour. Took her temperature every morning. She had this whole system with charts and predictions. Looking back, it was all theater. But at the time, I thought she was being thorough. Months went by. Nothing. She'd get disappointed every time her period showed up. I'd tell her these things take time. Most couples don't get pregnant immediately. Average couple takes 6 months to a year. She knew that intellectually but emotionally, she was getting stressed. By early 2022, she was talking about seeing a doctor. Made complete sense to me. I'm an engineer. I believe in diagnostics. So I scheduled an appointment with my GP for fertility testing. Told Olivia about the appointment. She seemed supportive at first. The appointment was set for a Thursday afternoon. Wednesday night, Olivia suddenly says we should wait. Says it's too soon, insurance won't cover it, we should give it another 6 months naturally. She pulled up articles about insurance requirements. Had a whole presentation ready. I canceled the appointment. Seemed reasonable to wait if insurance wouldn't cover it anyway. 6 months later, fall 2022, still nothing. She's getting more upset, crying when her period starts. Real tears. Genuine seeming distress. I suggest the doctor again. Again, she says to wait. This time she's read about couples who got pregnant after they stopped stressing about it. Shows me forum posts about stress affecting fertility. Says maybe we should take a break from actively trying. I'm noticing a pattern, but trying to be supportive. She's the one who has to carry the kid, so I figure she gets to call the shots on doctors. Biggest mistake of my life. We take the supposed break. Stop timing everything. She seems relieved, less stressed. By spring 2023, we'd been trying for almost 2 years. I brought up adoption, and she shot it down immediately. Said she wanted to experience pregnancy, wanted that biological connection. Fair enough. Then one night in May 2023, we're having dinner and she just loses it. Starts crying into her pasta primavera, saying she feels broken, that her body's failing us, that maybe we should just accept we'll never have kids. Real dramatic stuff, tissues everywhere, mascara running. I'm trying to comfort her, saying we'll figure it out together. Maybe we finally need to see that specialist. Maybe it's time to stop waiting and get real answers. That's when she drops this bomb. Maybe it's not me. Maybe you're the problem. I'm caught off guard because she'd never directly blamed me before. All the stress had been framed as her body not cooperating, her failing to get pregnant, her issues. Never mind. I ask what she means, and she says, maybe I should get tested first before we put her through invasive fertility treatments. That actually makes sense logically, so I agree. Men's testing is way less invasive than women's, just a simple test, no big deal. She gets this weird look on her face, like she didn't expect me to just say yes without pushing back. Then she backpedals hard, says she didn't mean it like that she's just emotional, that we should wait until she's in a better headspace to deal with doctors. Says she spoke out of frustration and didn't mean to point fingers at me. Red flag number whatever at this point, but I'm still in supportive husband mode. I tell her it's fine. I'll get tested whenever she's ready, no pressure. She seems relieved and changes the subject to some show she wants to watch. We finish dinner and don't talk about it again. Summer 2023, things are tense between us. She's still supposedly tracking her cycle, and we're still supposedly trying, but something feels fundamentally off. She's distant, emotionally checked out, goes to bed earlier than me most nights, spends a lot of time on her phone, typing away at something with this little smile I haven't seen directed at me in months. When I ask if everything's okay, she says she's just stressed about the baby situation and work drama. Her work drama was apparently pretty intense. She'd come home complaining about office politics, about the dentist being difficult, about patients being rude. I'd listen and try to be supportive, but it all felt surface level, like she was going through the motions of being married without actually being present in the marriage. We stopped having the kind of deep conversations we used to have. Used to talk for hours about everything and nothing. Now it was just logistics. Who's picking up dinner? Did you pay the electric bill? We need to get the AC serviced. Roommate energy, not spouse energy. Then in August, I come home early from work because they cut us loose at noon on a Friday before Labor Day weekend. The project deadline we'd been grinding on got moved back a week, so management decided to give everyone a long weekend. I texted Olivia to let her know I'd be home early, see if she wanted to grab lunch together. She didn't respond, which wasn't unusual since she sometimes had back-to-back appointments. I pull into our driveway around 12:30 and her car is there, which is unusual because she normally works until 5. I figure maybe she's sick or had the same early release situation I did. I walk in and the house is quiet. No TV on, no music, just quiet. Her purse is on the kitchen counter, her shoes by the door. I'm about to call out to her when I hear her voice coming from our bedroom. She's on the phone and she's laughing, really laughing in a way I haven't heard in months. That genuine, full laugh she used to do when we first started dating, before everything got complicated and stressful. I'm not trying to eavesdrop initially. I'm just walking down the hallway toward our room to let her know I'm home. But something about her tone makes me stop. She sounds happy, more than happy. She sounds like she's talking to someone who makes her feel alive. Then she says something that makes me stop dead in my tracks. I know. He still has no idea. It's honestly impressive at this point. I freeze in the hallway about 10 feet from our bedroom door. My brain is trying to process what I just heard. He has no idea about what? I'm standing there like an idiot, holding my work bag, trying to decide if I heard that correctly or if I'm paranoid. She's quiet for a minute, listening to whoever's on the other end. I can hear her moving around in the bedroom, probably pacing like she does when she's on the phone. Then she says, "No, he actually suggested getting tested a few months ago. I talked him out of it." Can you imagine? The whole thing would have blown up right there. My heart is pounding. Getting tested. She's talking about the fertility testing. She talked me out of it because something would have blown up. What would have blown up? What am I not supposed to know? She laughs again, that same carefree laugh. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. I should just tell him eventually. But the timing never feels right. And honestly, things are easier this way. Less complicated. Right. I back out of the hallway as quietly as I can. Go sit in my truck in the driveway for a solid 20 minutes, trying to process what I just heard. My hands are shaking. I feel nauseous. Every instinct is telling me something majorly wrong is happening, but I can't quite piece together what. When I finally go back inside, I make sure to make noise. Close the door loudly, drop my keys on the counter, call out that I'm home early. Olivia comes out of the bedroom acting completely normal. Big smile, asks about my day, mentions she got off early too and was just catching up on some phone calls with friends. Asks if I want to order takeout for lunch. I'm watching her perform this totally normal wife routine and thinking about what I just heard. She's seamless. No guilt, no nervousness, just acting like everything is fine. We order sandwiches from this place she likes. Eat lunch together on the couch while watching some renovation show. She's commenting on the design choices, completely relaxed. That night, lying in bed next to her, I can't sleep. Can't stop thinking about that phone call. He still has no idea. The whole thing would have blown up. Things are easier this way. What is she hiding? What don't I know? I spend the weekend pretending everything's normal while my brain is running through possibilities. Is she cheating? Is there something medically wrong she's not telling me? Is there some other secret I'm not seeing? Nothing makes complete sense, but all the pieces feel important. I don't say anything about what I heard. Not yet. I need to think about this strategically because clearly something major is going on, and I need to know what I'm dealing with before I make a move. I'm an engineer. I solve problems methodically. Step 1 is gathering data. That weekend, I start paying closer attention to everything. Her phone is never out of her sight anymore. It's always face down on the counter, always in her pocket, always with her. She's got new passwords on everything. I know because I used to know her phone code, and now it's different. Used to know her laptop password, and that's changed too. When I mention maybe going out with my friend Kevin from work, she encourages it enthusiastically. Almost pushy about it. Says I should go, have fun, take my time. Before, she'd sometimes get a little pouty about me having guy nights. Now she's practically shoving me out the door. That's when I realize she wants me gone, wants the house to herself. Monday morning, I call my doctor's office and schedule that fertility test I'd tried to schedule over a year ago. The receptionist remembers me because I'd canceled last time. I tell her I want to reschedule and she gets me in for Thursday afternoon. I don't tell Olivia. This one's just for me to know. I take a long lunch that Thursday. Drive to the doctor's office, fill out the paperwork. The nurse takes me back and explains the process. It's straightforward, not invasive, nothing complicated. Just a test to check sperm count, motility, morphology, all the standard metrics for male fertility. I provide the sample, they send it to the lab, results in about 10 days. Those 10 days are torture. I'm going through the motions at work and at home, but my brain is stuck on what those results might show. Part of me is hoping they'll show something wrong, because at least that would explain the 2 years of failure. But another part of me is terrified that they'll show I'm fine, because that means something else is going on. Results come back the following Thursday. I'm sitting in the doctor's office and he's looking at the printout with this neutral expression doctors get when they're about to deliver news. He slides the paper across his desk and points to a number with his pen. Your sperm count is excellent. Well above normal range, actually. Motility is in the top 25th percentile. No issues here that would prevent conception. In fact, based on these numbers, you should have no problem fathering children. I just stare at the numbers on the page. Sperm count, 72 million per milliliter. Reference range, 15 to 200 million. Motility, 68%. Reference range, 40 to 81%. Morphology, normal. Everything looks good. Better than good, actually. Above average across the board. Which means if there's a fertility problem, it's definitely not me. And given how hard Olivia tried to prevent me from getting tested, how many excuses she made, how she reacted when I agreed to it that night at dinner, that's not coincidence. I thank the doctor, take my results, fold them up and stick them in my center console, drive back to work in a complete daze. I've got this printout burning a hole in my truck, proof that I'm not the problem. Which means either she is or something else entirely is going on. And I'm starting to suspect it's the something else. That night, I make a decision. I need more information before I confront her about anything. I need to know what I'm actually dealing with. So I start documenting things. Not in a creepy way, just keeping track of patterns. I start a note on my phone with timestamps and observations. When she's on her phone, I note the time and duration. When she says she's going out, I note where she says she's going and when she gets back. I'm watching for inconsistencies, for patterns, for anything that might tell me what's really going on. I also set up our shared bank account to send me alerts for every transaction. It's technically my account too. We opened it together when we got married, so I'm not doing anything illegal, just staying informed about where our money is going. And what I find is interesting. There are charges I don't recognize. Nothing huge that would raise immediate red flags, but regular enough to form a pattern. Coffee shops I've never been to, always the same one in Scottsdale. Restaurants across town, nice places that we've never gone to together. And once, a hotel charge, the Phoenician in Scottsdale for one night. Date was back in June. I searched my text with Olivia for that date. June 15th. She told me she had a work conference. Said she'd be staying overnight because it was too far to drive back late. I remember because I'd ordered takeout for one that night and watched a game by myself. The charge was for $380. I look up the hotel rates for that night. Standard room is around $350. So she stayed overnight, but there was no dental conference that weekend. I checked the State Dental Association website. No conferences, no continuing education events. Nothing in June in Scottsdale. She lied about where she was and what she was doing. Add that to the growing pile of inconsistencies. Then I noticed the pharmacy charges. CVS on the 15th of every month, Walgreens on the 23rd sometimes, Target Pharmacy occasionally, all regular as clockwork. I check our insurance statements online, and that's when things get really interesting. She's been filling prescriptions I didn't know about. Monthly prescriptions that show up on our shared insurance, but that she's never mentioned. I can't see what the prescriptions are for because of HIPAA privacy laws, even though I'm on the same insurance policy, but I can see they exist and they're being filled every month like clockwork. For someone supposedly desperate to get pregnant, she sure is taking a lot of mystery medication. I'm sitting on my couch at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, going through months of bank statements and insurance records on my laptop, and pieces are starting to click into place. The evasiveness about doctors, the constant excuses, the way she panicked when I agreed to get tested. She's been lying about something major, and I need to know what. Here's where I probably should have just confronted her, demanded answers, put everything on the table. But I'm an engineer and I need data. I need proof. I need to know the full extent of what's happening before I make any moves. So I do something that's borderline questionable, but at this point I'm past caring about etiquette. I call our insurance company the next day from my car during lunch. Tell them I'm trying to reconcile some medical bills and need to understand what prescriptions are being covered under my policy. The customer service rep says they can't tell me what my wife's prescriptions are directly because of privacy laws, but they can send me a breakdown of what categories of medications are being covered and the general billing information. The form shows up in my email 3 days later as a PDF attachment. I open it in my truck before heading into work, and there it is buried in the third page of dense insurance language and billing codes. Oral contraceptives. Generic category, birth control pills. Filled monthly since January 2022. Right around when we supposedly started seriously trying for a baby. Same prescription, same dosage, filled at the same pharmacies every month like clockwork. I just sit there in my truck staring at my phone screen. The parking lot is filling up with people heading into the building for the morning shift. Someone honks at me to move because I'm taking up a spot near the entrance. I don't move. I just keep staring at those words on the screen. Birth control pills. Filled monthly. For 2 years. She's been on birth control this entire time. Every month going to the pharmacy, filling her prescription, taking her pills, and telling me we're trying to conceive. 2 years of temperature tracking and cycle apps and crying about not getting pregnant, and she's been actively preventing it the whole time. The level of deception is actually impressive in a sick way. She didn't just lie about one thing, she built this entire false narrative, created a whole production with apps and charts and tears and frustration, the stress, the emotional breakdowns, the suggestions that maybe I'm the problem, all of it calculated to keep me from finding out she never wanted kids at all. But here's what I can't figure out. Why? Why go through this elaborate charade? Why not just say she doesn't want kids? We could have dealt with that like adults. Could have gone to counseling, could have decided if that was a deal breaker, could have made informed choices about our future instead of me wasting 2 years thinking we were working towards something together. Unless there's something else going on. Unless the kids thing is just one piece of a bigger lie. Unless she needed to buy time for some reason I'm not seeing yet. I start thinking about that phone call I overheard. He still has no idea. No idea about what? The birth control? Or something more? The whole thing would have blown up if I'd gotten tested. Why? Because the doctor would have told me I'm fine, and then we'd have focused on her fertility and discovered the birth control? Or because something else would have been revealed? I decide I need to actually follow her. Yeah, I know how that sounds. It sounds paranoid and controlling and like something out of a bad movie. But at this point, I'm in too deep and I need answers. I need to know if my wife is just lying about wanting kids, or if there's a whole other layer to this that I'm not seeing. She drives to a coffee shop in Scottsdale, about 30 minutes from our house, parks and goes inside. I park down the street and wait. 20 minutes later, she comes out. With a guy. They're laughing, standing too close, and when they get to his car, he kisses her. Not a friendly peck, a real kiss. The kind you give someone you're sleeping with. I take pictures. My hands are shaking, but I get several clear shots of them together. They stand there talking for another few minutes. Then she gets in her car and leaves. He gets in his and goes the opposite direction. I sit in my truck feeling like I've been punched in the chest. The fertility thing was bad enough, but this is a whole different level. She's been cheating on me. Probably the whole time we've been trying for kids. Maybe longer. I drive home and she's already there, putting away groceries like nothing happened. Asks if I want to help her make dinner. I say sure. We cook pasta together like a normal married couple while I'm dying inside. That night, lying in bed next to her, I make my plan. I'm not confronting her yet. I'm not tipping my hand. I'm going to document everything, get my evidence together, and then I'm going to talk to a lawyer before she even knows something's wrong. Monday morning, I call a divorce attorney. Not to file yet, just to consult. I bring all my documentation. The fertility test results. The insurance records showing birth control prescriptions, the bank statements showing suspicious charges, the photos from Saturday. The attorney is this woman named Patricia, who's been practicing family law for 20 years. She looks through everything with the expression of someone who's seen it all before. When she's done, she looks up at me and says, "You've got a strong case for fraud in the inducement. She made false representations about wanting children to induce you into marriage. That matters in Arizona." She also tells me to keep documenting. Get more evidence if I can. The more airtight the case, the better my position in the divorce. And definitely don't let on that I know anything until I'm ready to file. So I keep playing the part of the clueless husband. Keep sleeping in the same bed. Keep having dinner together. Keep pretending I believe her lies. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. I follow her 3 more times over the next month. Same guy every time. Sometimes they meet for coffee. Once they met at a park. Another time I followed them to that same hotel in Scottsdale. That was particularly fun. Sitting in my truck in the parking lot, knowing my wife was upstairs sleeping with someone else. I document all of it. Photos, dates, times, locations. I print out the bank statements showing the hotel charges she told me were work conferences. I get a certified copy of my fertility test results. I get a subpoena through my attorney for the pharmacy records showing her birth control prescriptions. By November 2023, I've got a file folder an inch thick with evidence. Patricia tells me we're ready. She drafts the divorce petition and we schedule a process server. The night before the server shows up, Olivia and I have dinner like always. She's telling me about her day, some annoying patient at work, normal stuff. I'm nodding and asking questions while thinking about how tomorrow her whole world is going to explode. The server catches her at her office the next day around 2 p.m. I know because I'm working from home and I see her car pull into the driveway at 2:45. She comes through the door in a rage, doesn't even close it behind her, just storms in holding the papers and throws them at me. They scatter across the living room floor. What is this? What the hell is this? I'm sitting on the couch with my laptop like it's a normal workday. Divorce papers. Thought that was obvious. You're filing for divorce? Out of nowhere? Without even talking to me first? Out of nowhere. Right. She's pacing now, her face red. This is insane. We've been married 3 years and you're just throwing it away because we haven't had kids yet? That's what this is about? I close my laptop and set it aside. Stand up. Look at her directly. Did you really think I'd never find out? She stops mid-pace. The anger drains from her face and something else replaces it. Fear maybe. Find out what? I walk to the kitchen counter where I've got my folder waiting. Thick manila folder with tabs and dividers. Everything organized chronologically. I bring it back and drop it on the coffee table. That you've been on birth control for 2 years while telling me we're trying for a baby. That you've been sleeping with some guy in Scottsdale. That you've been lying about literally everything. I've never seen someone's face go through that many emotions in 10 seconds. Denial first, mouth opening to argue. Then shock when she realizes I actually know. Then anger. Then panic when it sinks in that this is real. She lunges for the folder, but I grab it first. I've got copies. Multiple copies. My attorney has copies. Everything's backed up digitally. You can't make this disappear. She sits down hard on the couch like her legs gave out. Stares at the folder in my hands. How long have you known? Does it matter? Yes, it matters. You've been lying to me too then. Pretending everything was fine. Playing some sick game. I have to laugh at that. I've been documenting your lies. There's a difference. Big difference, actually. She starts crying. Not the genuine kind, the manipulative kind she's been using for 2 years when her period supposedly showed up. The kind designed to make me feel guilty. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I made mistakes, but we can work through this. People do it all the time. You didn't make mistakes. You built an entire false life. You lied about wanting kids, lied about trying to conceive, lied about being faithful. That's not mistakes. That's fraud. That's a calculated plan. You can't prove any of that. I tap the folder. Actually, I can. Pharmacy records showing 2 years of birth control prescriptions. Bank statements showing hotel charges you said were work conferences. My fertility test results showing I'm fine. Photos of you and him together. Dates, times, locations. It's all in here. And it's all going to be entered into evidence in court. Her face changes. The tears stop like I flipped a switch. That's when she switches tactics. Gets mean instead of sad. You were never good enough anyway. I settled for you because you were safe and boring. And I thought that's what I wanted. But you're just pathetic. You and your spreadsheets and your schedules and your need to plan everything 5 years in advance. Okay. The guy in Scottsdale is more of a man than you'll ever be. He doesn't need constant validation. He doesn't make spreadsheets for every little thing. He actually knows how to be spontaneous. He makes me feel alive instead of trapped. Does he know you're married? She goes quiet. Looks away. That's what I thought. Does he know you told me you were at work conferences while you were sleeping with him? Does he know you're on my health insurance? No response. Then she hits me with the nuclear option. Stands up, points at me. You're not man enough to be a dad anyway. I was doing you a favor by staying on birth control. Can you imagine you trying to raise a kid? You'd probably have them on a schedule by the time they're 6 months old. You'd suck all the joy out of their childhood with your rules and structure. I just look at her. Let that hang in the air. And there it is. The real you. She seems to realize she's gone too far. Tries to backpedal. I didn't mean that. I'm just upset. You're ambushing me with divorce papers and expecting me to be calm about it. You've been ambushing me with lies for 2 years. I think I'm entitled to be upset about that. The next few months are a blur of legal proceedings. She fights everything. Tries to claim the evidence was obtained illegally. Argues that the birth control was a private medical decision. Her attorney is aggressive, but Patricia is better. We end up in mediation first. Trying to settle without going to trial. Olivia is acting like the victim, crying to the mediator about how I'm being vindictive and cruel. The mediator asks for my side, and I just slide my folder across the table. Everything you need is in there. Bank statements showing hotel charges she claimed were work trips. Pharmacy records showing 2 years of birth control pills while telling me we were trying to conceive. Photos of her with her boyfriend. Timeline of every lie. The mediator goes through it all. When he's done, he looks at Olivia and says, I strongly suggest you take the settlement offer. She doesn't. She wants to fight it out in court, convinced she can somehow win sympathy from a judge. Patricia is thrilled because it means we get to make everything public record. The court date is in February 2024. We're in the courthouse and I'm in my best suit, looking like the responsible adult I am. Olivia's dressed like she's going to a funeral, playing up the devastated wife angle. Patricia presents our case methodically. The fertility fraud first, showing the timeline of false promises and active deception. Then, the financial evidence of the affair. Then, the photos. Each piece of evidence is labeled, documented, cross-referenced. The judge is this older guy who's clearly seen every divorce trick in the book. He's not buying Olivia's tears or her attorney's arguments about privacy. When her attorney tries to claim the pharmacy records shouldn't be admissible, the judge shuts it down. She made representations about trying to conceive. He's entitled to evidence showing those representations were false. The records are admissible. Olivia has to testify. Under oath, she admits to the birth control, admits to the affair, tries to frame it as a response to our marital problems. But Patricia tears that apart. When did these marital problems start? I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. Right around when you started taking birth control? I guess. And when did the affair start? About 1.5 years ago. So you were lying about trying to conceive before the affair even started? She doesn't have a good answer for that. I get to testify too. Patricia asks me about the fertility test I took without telling Olivia. I explain about the conversation I overheard, about how she'd been deflecting every time I suggested we see a doctor. Did you feel you were being deceptive by getting tested without telling her? No. She'd been encouraging me to get tested, then discouraging me. I figured I'd just eliminate that variable quietly. And when you got the results showing you had no fertility issues, what did you think? That something else was going on. That her reluctance to see doctors wasn't about the cost or the stress. It was because she didn't want anyone to find out she was actively preventing pregnancy. The judge asks me directly, why didn't you confront her immediately when you found the birth control evidence? Because I needed to know the full extent of the lies. If she'd lie about something that fundamental, what else was she lying about? Turned out, a lot. After 2 days of testimony, the judge makes his ruling. The house goes to me since I'd owned it before the marriage and made all the mortgage payments. She gets her car and her personal belongings, no spousal support because of the fraud. The judge actually uses that word, fraud. Says her misrepresentation about wanting children was material to the marriage and constitutes grounds for a fault-based divorce. In Arizona, that matters for asset division. He also orders her to pay half my attorney fees, which is rare, but Patricia had argued that her deception made the divorce more expensive than it needed to be. The judge agreed. Walking out of that courthouse, I feel lighter than I have in years. Olivia's crying in the hallway with her attorney. Her boyfriend isn't there. Guess he didn't want to deal with the messy reality of what he'd been part of. Patricia shakes my hand. That's one of the more clear-cut cases of fraud I've seen. You documented everything perfectly. I'm an engineer. Documentation is kind of my thing. She laughs. Well, it served you well here. The divorce is finalized in March 2024. She's got 2 weeks to move out. I change the locks the day after she leaves and find out she took some kitchen stuff that was technically mine. But whatever. Small price to pay. Her parents called me 3 days after the court ruling. Frank apologized for raising a liar. Said he had no idea she was capable of that level of deception. Janet cried on the phone and told me I deserved better. They sent back the Christmas gifts I'd gotten them last year with a note saying they couldn't keep them in good conscience. I told them to keep the gifts, that this wasn't their fault. We don't talk anymore, but there's no bad blood. The boyfriend situation imploded fast. Found out through a mutual acquaintance that he dumped her 2 weeks after the divorce finalized. Turns out he was married too. His wife found out about the affair when Olivia started calling him after she moved into her apartment. He blocked her number and apparently threatened a restraining order when she showed up at his office. She tried calling me in April. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail asking if we could talk, saying she wanted to explain everything, that the court proceedings didn't tell the whole story. I deleted it without listening to the whole thing. She sent an email a week later with the subject line, "Please read this." I sent it to Patricia, who told me to block her and document everything. Blocked her on everything that night. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.